Welcome back to our Seattle Seahawks franchise. It is about to be the offseason. I do want to take a look back and kind of talk about the season we just had because it was a pretty insane one. As we started the season out 3-4, the division was looking super strong. And then obviously we made a quarterback change. I think it was week 4 against the Green Bay Packers where we were just getting smoked. Hikaru, it's a name of the past. He had potential, still I think has potential, but we just couldn't wait around for a guy that wasn't really progressing when we had a guy like Greer on the roster. We put him in. He looked smoother. He looked more sharp. He looked more confident. Had a little bit more, speed under the belt. And overall, the rest is history. After that, going on a 13-game winning streak to become Super Bowl champions. As you can see here, the MVP of the Super Bowl being Greer himself. We also got Rookie of the Year with Red. He's a superstar now. And honestly, looking at what we need to do with the team, there's not a whole lot of new names that we need to add, but there definitely could be some improvements, especially in the offensive line. Wide receiver isn't a guarantee. Patterson, I like a lot, and so do I like with Moore. Once again, that progression is not really there. Can I really depend on Patterson and Moore to get open if it's a clutch down? I don't know. Metcalf, absolutely. Fant, absolutely. Walker, absolutely. Those other two guys, I don't know. Offensive line, Pierre may need to be replaced. He allowed 8 sacks as a rookie. Banton, of course, I think allowed 8 sacks as a rookie and then 7 in this last season. But he's also a tackle. He's a tackle. It's more expected to allow sacks as a tackle, of course. Buckley, he was okay. Elton Jenkins, can't really do much about that. We paid him big money. And then offensively, this is the heart and soul of this team. However, there could be some shakeups specifically with a defensive line as Davenport, I have decided, will be traded. I'm not exactly sure his value because he has potential, but with his injury history, I think 4 sacks in year 1, 1.5 in this latest one, he misses more time than he actually plays, and I just don't think we can have that around here as we're just relying on the backups to just come in unexpectedly so often with him. It's not even like, one really big injury in the year. It's like 4 or 5 injuries on the season each year. We've got to move on from him. Other positions, Diggs definitely needs to be looked at as he is an X factor, but he's also an 84 overall with 87 speed. So, I mean, we can't really do a whole lot. We could trade him if we wanted to. Don't know what his value is. It comes down to can we get a better safety at that spot. If not, might have to roll with the 87 speed safety, which is definitely a little concerning. But yeah, there's a lot of really good players in place. We should have some extra draft picks and hopefully come out with a decent little offseason. Looking at some of the retirements across the league, we did not have any, and most of these guys are kind of no-name guys. Bobby Wagner, that's obviously a pretty big name. Fletcher Cox is a big name. Tart's a decent name. Armstead, a huge name. Travis Kelce is a massive name. Casey Hayward, obviously some of these guys, even if they're big names, obviously at their age, are not really what they once were. Julio Jones is a big name, but at this point, it really doesn't matter too much. There's no real surprise names here. Kelce maybe a little bit earlier than I would have expected, but overall, it's a pretty tame retirement year. Like, some all-time greats, don't get me wrong, but as far as, unexpected retirements, didn't really see much of that. 4-hour re-signings, the backup quarterback wants to be paid, believe it or not, like a backup. And Quandre Diggs, I did not know that Poona Ford needed a contract. Quandre Diggs, as much as I like him, I was kind of thinking maybe he's on his way out. It's tough because he's really smart still, great hit power, and he was a big part of our success. But 87 speed is pretty bad. And, looking at the numbers, his interceptions, not the craziest. I mean, I'm not going to try to say that, Woolen made him, but Woolen definitely makes the free safety job a lot easier on this team. And as crazy as it sounds, I think I'm moving on from Quandre Diggs. And sadly for Jason Myers, we are also going to be moving on from him as 5 kick power lost is way too much for me to deal with. 91 kick power, and that's just a GG, I'm sorry. It also appears that our offensive coordinator has just kind of left us. I'm not really sure what that's about, but that's not good. That's not good. Do we go with Ed Green? Freddie Dingler is obviously the GOAT himself. Scott Jackson. Could maybe move on from Scott Jackson. Ed Green has the most abilities. I think Ed Green is going to be my guy. He's got 5 talents. But here we go. Moving on to free agency. Of course, we're going to be looking for some sort of trade with Davenport if possible. And we have 89 mil. Question is, who do we have to pay? Obviously, you don't have to pay a quarterback, which is great. That window is absolutely open. But you have to pay Kenneth. That's at least 14 per. Jamal Adams, I can't imagine it being more than 20-ish. Metcalf, 30-ish. Woolen's going to be 20 per. What else do we have? Dixon's at, another 4 per. Sidney Jones needs a contract. Mafe is going to be 20 per. 15 plus for Charles Cross. Yeah, this is a big re-signing year. I wouldn't feel comfortable spending more than about 30 mil at the very best. Like I said, I don't. That's probably my max, and even then, I don't even know if I want to spend that much. Looking at free agency, though, not the strongest group of players, but, some good players. Nonetheless, if you got some running back need, Ryan Jensen's great, but center is just not. Maybe I take another look at Buckley before I do anything. Trey Hendrickson. I mean, looking at this free agency squad, though, a lot of guys that once upon a time were really good. Right now, not so much. And bigger than that, I would say, not a whole lot of scheme fits. I think looking position by position is important. Looking at quarterbacks, not really like a whole lot of young guys that you can feel comfortable with as your backup, but I definitely want to find someone, as you just never know when an injury is going to happen. You don't want to think about it, but it's part of the game. It's part of the sport. It's kind of the reason why a very promising career in Davenport for us, probably not going to be on the team if we can find a trade, once again, I just can't trust a guy that can't be out there. If he's not out there, what am I supposed to do about it? Looking at running backs, I think we have so much talent at running back, we just don't even know what to do with, so there's really not a name here that I think we need. And then wide receiver, this is a very weak wide receiver free agency class. This is one that you would see a lot of people maybe overspending on, a lot of teams that are just desperate. Diami Brown's maybe a name, but overall, our unit is better than the guys in here, and I don't feel like overpaying for mid. Once again, looking at tight end, definitely not a need, as we have potentially the strongest tight end room in the entire league. And then offensive line, there's a couple of guys here that maybe we want to look at, but I do like an offensive line that can move around. Landon Dickerson, not really that guy, and he was probably the biggest name that I was looking at here that felt like a really big upgrade. Maybe even though Ryan Kelly's on the older side, might be viable. How good is he? Power blocking's good, and that's kind of what you want from a center. Very interesting, but Buckley's not the worst either. What about James Daniels? Obviously a little bit on the weaker side, but a good finesse blocker. Yeah, that's not really what I want on the interior, sadly. I think offensive line here is just not strong enough for me to try and replace one of our youngsters. And then another guy that just isn't a scheme fit. The kind of positions we're looking for on the D-line interiorly are pass rush types, so not really looking for a block shedder at this point. Although I will say, maybe we are. Because red probably fits a little bit better as, as not, well, the nose tackle, if you will. I don't know, though, what we want to do. Do we really want to pay Barmore? That's like a long-term kind of deal. We probably have some decent draft picks. I think we can move around that line a bit. Aleem McNeil is actually not bad himself. Wouldn't be like a bad, like, kind of safety net pick. We'll say his services are a little more specialized. Like I said, with red, you could kind of get away with him at multiple positions, whereas Aleem McNeil is a nose tackle, and that's what you're getting. That's what you're getting with that big, strong man. But, yeah, I guess I'll offer him. It's not even a big deal anyways. Trey Hendrickson's great. Other than backup, though, not really a positional need. Not going to go there either. What about Hassan Reddick is interesting. A little bit on the older side. Once again, I don't think, other than backup, we're really in the market for a linebacker. Although we'll say Ronnie Perkins here, especially at star. Kind of a decent backup. Might actually kind of take a look back at that. Linebacker, inside specifically, not a need. Nobody wants Jalen Phillips. How has he developed? He's pretty good, dude. He's not a bad backup if you needed one. So, wink, wink. And then, of course, cornerback, not really a positional need right now other than maybe like backup. It's an okay couple of guys like Tyson Campbell. I think you could definitely develop if he, you needed that position. Noah Igbinoghene is still pretty young, could still develop him. Hobbs is obviously really solid as well, although his man coverage sucks. Safety, we do have Marshall, but once again, I did like Marshall as the backup, so having a good backup safety wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Caden Stearns is interesting. Hufanga, not really good here at all. He's super slow. Wow. Kicker is Justin Tucker. How the hell is he here? How would they ever let him go? Same with Cade York. This is interesting. Jacob Rollins. That guy looks pretty interesting. Colby Nichols or Jacob Rollins? I think I like Jacob Rollins a lot. I think we could win some awards with this guy and make him one of the best in the league. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here with Jalen Phillips. They're just not using him or something, or maybe he's just super injury prone. I'd be willing to offer him like a 1-year 7 or something if he's, if he's down to be a backup. It's not terrible for both sides, especially if he's really as bad as that stat line's telling me he is. A lot of these guys are pretty much backup level talent or just, safety nets in general. So be nice to get them, but not some, positions that are going to be starting and needed. But we will take all those guys. It's not going to cost us that much to keep him or grab them anyways. Alvin Kamara on the trade block. Don't get me wrong. We got our guys, but there's some interesting names there. Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs not really looking great for the Packers. Treylon Burks is a super fun, interesting player. Mike Higgins, is that Huggins? Colts just they don't want to be happy. They just don't want to be happy, it seems. And who is this guy for the Chiefs? Might have to take a look at him. Chiefs and Steelers got 2 guys on the trade block that look decent. Of course, the trade block doesn't guarantee anything. They do like to bait out a lot. They're like, oh yeah, we're trading all these guys. And it's like, actually, they want a ton in return. Which, speaking of, I don't really ask for a ton in return. But if you don't mind and you're enjoying the video, maybe leave a like, subscribe if you're new. If you're not new, appreciate your continued support. And, let me know if you're excited for the next season here. Hopefully we don't sell in the draft. Wow, what are the Chiefs doing? He's lacking hard, but he is star. They're not using him. He is intriguing. He is intriguing, but man, I don't know how you develop him. How old was he actually? So he is a youngster. This is his second year. He's pretty decent. What is his overall? Because obviously that morale. 77 overall. That is interesting. That is interesting. Roland. Wow, insane power move. But yeah, I imagine they're going to be using him. What's his dev? Star development trade. Wow, the Chiefs know what they're doing on the D-line, it seems. And this Crowder guy is a bot. Never mind. Honestly, like after looking at that guy, I kind of want to give Northcutt another chance. He may legitimately get another chance to play actual nose tackle. We'll look in the draft for some players, but give him a chance to really like physically play nose tackle. I'm kind of debating on, or not debating, but we're kind of regretting McNeil now. You can never have enough depth, I suppose, but completely forgot about the big boy Northcutt. Never really give him a chance at that nose tackle spot. We expect him to be a pass rusher at 388 pounds somehow, but yeah, Northcutt might have himself a job. Definitely want to have a backup plan, but I kind of like him as the starting nose tackle. So the former late first-round pick in Quentin Davenport is being traded to the Denver Broncos for pick 48. And sadly, in surprising news, Sidney Jones has notified the team that he will 100% be entering free agency after the year and has even requested a trade to move back to his home state. And if we can facilitate that trade, even if there's a good chance that that's interdivisional, we, with our history and, of course, the fact that we absolutely appreciate everything he's done for this organization, will 100% comply. It will be a hit and a half if we find a trade. Once again, he is needing a contract. He is 29, so we will have to think about the future without him regardless. But a little bit of a surprise and didn't expect it, especially with the tandem of him and Woolen. This could be a big hit to the defense, but that we're not that way. We're not going to make this an ugly situation. You know, we appreciate him, and we will be trying to honor his request. And even though it is interdivisional, like we mentioned, I think we have absolutely found the team that makes the most sense for him to try and be back with his family. The Rams, they absolutely need corner and are willing to trade for him. Not maybe exactly the compensation we were hoping for, but news travels fast. They know that I mean, it's kind of sleazy for them to try to take advantage of the situation, but they know that the situation is kind of a forced one in a way, and they're going to get Sidney Jones from us for a third this and a fourth next year. Not exactly looking forward to playing him and Jalen Ramsey side by side, but once again, doing the right thing, and I think overall we can manage. But I will say, pre-draft, pre-roster changes, the cornerback situation does not look as good as it once did. Obviously, we were thinking about potentially having to replace Sidney Jones anyways with regressions and all that. He's an 86 overall at that point, 29 years old. Needing a contract, would we have re-signed him anyways? I don't know, but it definitely raises questions. We also do have answers potentially already on the roster. Luke Marshall was great at safety, but him and Porter both absolutely capable of playing cornerback. And I think regardless of how the draft turns out, they both may get a decent look in preseason just to play that position. Number 2 is kind of vacant right now. And we're going to see if we can fill that with one of the original guys on the squad here. So we have eyed up some positional needs and overall players that just seem like good players in general, whether they're needs or not. One of the first guys would be Arnaud, the wide receiver, 6'3", 21 years old. Very good 40-yard, very good jumping. 3 cones lacking, but 20 yards decent. He looks solid. He obviously looks solid. Your catching looks great. Once again, is it a big enough need? The other question is, do we have too many draft picks and we need to maybe make a selection? Then you have Benedict, who's a very interesting name, because he has a spectacular catch, 39.3 vertical jumping. We'll say the 3 cone of the 20 yards pretty bad. The 40-yard dash, though, I can kind of live with. And he's 6'4". We'll say, though, the D catch in traffic, a B to D catching. Obviously, those things are not 100% true. Those could both be 80s, and it's just lying to us. So that's interesting to think about. Binns, he's a backup. Could be an edge for us. We have Jalen Phillips, but Jalen Phillips isn't long-term, obviously. Binns could be. Woodard looks really good. The linebacker. A couple of corners, maybe not perfect, but okay and pretty athletic for their size. William Chambers with a B press, C catch, C man. Hopefully B zone. We definitely have to scout them more a little bit, but 440 with really good 3 cone and 20-yard shuttle. Very strong. Vertical's great. And once again, 6'3". And then you have Justin Griffin, 6'1", 21 years old. Looks a little bit better in some of those ratings, but the coverage is definitely lacking more, but more athletic on top of it. Definitely not as strong, but very good at jumping. Interesting to say the least. We'll say, though, Chambers with Woolen, the height there, that could be busted. Could be busted. Now, speaking of the other side of the spectrum, super short Dom Lane, but very smart. And then Lorenzo Shelby, 6'2", 21 years old, has some juice under the tank. And once again, 2 to 3 rounder, so could be a guy that we maybe take as a luxury pick. If Marshall, assumingly has to start somewhere, we might need another guy to fill his specific role as that backup, running around, playing a bunch of different positions. So this seems like a draft that's going to be filled with trench and DB selections with maybe a wide receiver pick snuck in there. 5th year options. We did think about Charles Cross as an interesting name as the blindside protector of a team that has struggled to find a good tackle for a long time that is especially young. I think we are going to give him the 5th year option, as I think in the long term it's going to be kind of equal anyways, but I think it's going to slightly save us money. And, of course, we need to save money now as we have some very, very big names that are absolutely going to be asking for bank. Like, realistically, the way Woolen has played, I would ask for 35 to 40 mil per. And I know that's crazy. It's insane. But for a guy his size and speed to be playing the way he is playing, he is not only generational, but, like, literally one of one. Like, physically. Well, we have what we have wanted. We scouted 2 more corners. Well, maybe not scouted 2 more corners, but scouted further the 2 corners we had, and can make a better judgment call on that. Did we get what we wanted here? Ooh, Chambers is looking pretty good. The thing is, a lot of our guys are 2 to 3s. It's kind of what you're expecting, though, from a team that, of course, won the Super Bowl and is selecting a 32. There's something about Arnaud that is just like, you gotta grab him. But, man, I just can't make that choice. What's a spec catch? Just for the giggles? I do not know the answer to that, and I gotta imagine it's A. I imagine he's gonna be very good, but with the wide receiver talent we have, and the fact that Amari Benedict, even though he looks more raw than Arnaud, is kind of like a poor man's version of him, I think, hopefully we don't sell on him, but I just think in general, if we're going to take wide receiver, that's going to be the guy, because we don't have to put as much into it, and once again, it's just not a position of need. And as much as, I don't want to overdraft someone, get that 5th-year option with Chambers. Maybe it's a little bit of an early pick, but I think he looks good enough. 6'3", B zone, B press, looks super solid, strong as hell, good jumping. He's going to be a pretty athletic guy. I wouldn't say crazy athletic, but maybe 91, 92 speed. He looks like a really good corner. He's tall. He's my choice, William Chambers, and he is hidden. 88 jumping's a little low for what we've seen there, but 92 speed, 91 excel. Change of direction is 90 for his size, which, to put in perspective, I think Woolen's like an 83, 84. That is an amazing pick. Even if he's only star, could be superstar, you never know, maybe he's an X Factor. But that's a good pick, and I would imagine that keeps Marshall at free safety. And now we have the potential drafting of a safety or linebacker. I would probably lean towards Woodard a little bit more than the safety position, though, as, once again, I think with that cornerback selection, Marshall stays where he is, especially since he played so well as a backup. Don't feel like we need a linebacker, but hear me out. This guy, 4.35 40. I mean, he is prototypical, at the very least, to say it. I think I'm going to take him at pick 16. And reminding me of Alexander, he has normal development trait. Now, I will say 91 speed, 91 excel is insane, but 4.35 is much faster than that. That's probably 94 speed. Definitely got baited out by some lies here. We kind of got shafted. And Ed Money never really was going to be that guy for us. Another injury-prone guy as well. We ended up trading 52 this Ed Money for 47 and 111 next year from the Bears. I think they're a team that could very well be one of those top 5 drafting teams going forward. And we're betting on that in a class that's not the strongest in general, and a class we don't really need anyone just yet. They ended up trading for a tight end. They seen a tight end go right before them. They were not taking any more risks, and they pulled the trigger. No one wants to make a trade with us, so Nick Street, even though he's a little bit on the weaker side, very athletic, giving me red vibes, is going to be our choice with A finesse, B block shedding, and also normal development trait. Also, stolen identity. Identity theft is absolutely no joke. You should be ashamed of yourself. And now we talked about wanting athletic guards, but if you're going to try to grab a guard or a lineman in general in this class, especially in the 3rd round, I don't think you're going to get much better than Chad Woody, who looks like he has a lot of potential and could even be a dual-style guy. I will say the pass block looks a little bit weaker on him, which is surprising because it's usually the run blocking that sucks. Pierre's not a locked-in player. If this guy's good, maybe he takes his spot, and he is hidden. Once again, that athleticism has dropped really badly, but we'll see. There might be a little bit of a battle at the offensive line spot. And even though I don't like the height, which there's not a whole lot of, Dom Wayne with B zone coverage and that athleticism, I just can't pass on him. Dom Wayne is going to be the choice. And another hidden development trait player. Kind of a poor man's Diggs, but because he's younger, more athletic right now. So some hits, some misses. I think the most important thing is that we're hitting on the positions we need, although you can argue that the DT is a position we needed. Looking at other players, I don't see us using him, but at the same time, I see the potential. I see that this is, a team that took the same kind of approach with Metcalf. Maybe not the same exact style of player, but a guy that there is redeeming quality in, and I'm going to take him Amari Benedict, who is normal development trade. However, 91 speed, 90 excel, 92 jumping at 6'4" is beyond intriguing. Am I missing something here? The Eagles, what? 10 spots for a 7th round pick and they're not interested. I guess I'm going to take a player here. Screw them. Cliff Hunt is still there. I don't know who I actually want of these three. I think Binns you probably need the most, as once again we talked about Phillips being kind of a one-year guy. Cliff Hunt, very strong, decent, but those ratings are a little iffy. So I am going to go with Eric Binns, the edge rusher, who has a little bit of speed, nothing too spectacular. B finesse. Highly doubt that block shed's going to be anything, but it's at least a C, so I guess Eric Binns is going to be the choice. Normal development trait, sadly. No change of direction or agility. Strength's okay. Speed and excel is okay. He's okay. He's just okay. Trading up with the Bills. 128 this and a 5th next year for 97. What could they have in store? Surely a position of need. Haha! We lied. It was a running back, Jermaine Thurman, who I scouted literally right before the draft. Is potentially going to be my pick here. A, ball carrier vision. B, carrying. Break tackle is only a C, but very athletic. A different style kind of back on this squad. Kind of hoping he's a good receiving back. A to C medium, A to C catch, B to D short route. It tells me that there's a good chance. A lot of those are going to be at least C's. And with that athleticism, I think he's worth this pick. We're going to bring him on. Normal development trait, but 93 speed, 92 excel. Maybe some conversation for the backup kick return spot. Maybe punt return starter, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, I do know Caldwell is probably not losing that job. We maybe have a conversation. All right, but yeah, I don't know. And I think there's just something fun about making Mr. Irrelevant a quarterback. So Peyton Schwartz is going to be Mr. Irrelevant. Wow. Okay. This was like the best throw power guy there was based on like it, the grade. I think it said, was it solid? 87 throw power, 86 speed, 86 excel. Interesting. It's like a younger Mariota. Like a now Mariota, sadly. But let's take a look at the draft recap. Obviously, we are not going to be looking at the actual devs, but kind of curious to see what kind of overalls and ratings we have here. Some pretty good ones. Other than the quarterback, everyone was in the 70s, which doesn't really surprise me. We drafted a lot of pretty solid-looking players. But Chambers, the projected number 2 cornerback, a bit raw. 67 man coverage is definitely rough, but 76 zone catching's a little iffy. Press is decent. Was expecting better press than that with his grade, but decent athleticism. I don't know what that dev's going to be like, but I mean he's worth the 1st round pick. I think 32 is he looks like a pick 32 type talent, and of course sadly normal for Woodard, but very good zone coverage. Hit power is usable. Block shed's actually not bad. Decent jumping. Pretty good catching for a linebacker, and overall, maybe giving Alexander a run for his money, perhaps. Street, I don't really want to look at, because I'm just... actually, I will. Let's see what that finesse is like. Let's see what that finesse is. Why not? 78 finesse, 73 block shed. Yeah, he is pretty good. I still want to go out there with the big 388 as the number 1 nose tackle. I don't know if Street really even fits that role anyways. And then Woody, who is hidden development trait. Pass block power. Yeah, I mean, he is a little bit better of a run blocker. Not by much, but intriguing. Definitely intriguing. Lead block 88, impact block 88. Would love to see what Pierre's lead and impact is. And then Dwayne. I call him Dwayne because Dom Wayne. Hidden development trait with 80 zone coverage, 83 hit power. But wow, he is injury prone. Oh, wow. You can't really account for that stuff, so I'm not really sure. Wow. Holy crap. 73 injury, 71 toughness. Man, he is some kind of garbage. That's ridiculous. Of course, Benedict, 72 overall. I do want to see Arnaud as well, because I did give it an idea. I gave it a thought. And oh! Okay, I was expecting decent spec, because I seen the jumping and all that. But 99 spec catch. He is a very intriguing player, and of course they gave him aggressive catch. No possession, which is an L, but very good release for a rookie. Catching is feasible. Route running is definitely lacking, but the jumping and spec catch at 6'4" is very, very interesting. Of course, looking at Bins, 32 in the 3rd round. What's his finesse? It is, where am I? 77 finesse, 68 block shedding. That's okay. And, you know, nothing special. You're getting in that kind of category that late in the draft. And then the 73 overall running back, Jeromepkr, 93 speed, 92 excel. We already knew that kind of stuff. Change direction is good. Carrying's really good. Juke move's decent. Receivability is decent. His receiving ability, not bad. Okay, so we did land a pretty good draft. And I will say I am curious to see what Arnaud looked like when he was actually the first one off the board. Pick 18, hidden development trait, has aggressive and possession. Those are the two you mainly care about. Injury, stamina, and toughness, kind of iffy though, not going to lie. Juke ability is up through the roof. Jumping and spec catch, very good. Catching in general, very good. Release, solid. Yeah, he's a true #1 wide receiver. Definitely a good pick. Without a doubt, a good pick. What is that dev looking like? We didn't, draft him, so I don't really care too much. Superstar. Yeah, he is a bona fide star. Of course, he did go pick 18, so it's not like we traded down and missed on him. There was a good chance I was going to lose him either way, because I was expecting him to be kind of like a pick 21, 22 guy. Went 18 to the Saints. Now to pick those wide receivers, and of course, because of the name, I kind of want to see normal dev. Wow, what a disaster. But pretty accurate with that 88 short and really good strength and throw power. So, interesting player there, interesting prospect. I don't even know if he's their starting guy or projected their starting guy, but they drafted him pretty high and maybe a little bit of a mid. Ooh, we may have an interesting battle here, and I've said that word a lot. I apologize if you're sick of hearing it. Okay, well, I mean, it's the wrong guy anyways, but where the hell is he? Woody, he's still good anyways, but yeah. In lead block, 71 from Daniel Pierre. That is very low. That is super low. I don't know. This could actually be a position that gets some, playing time, some looks. I think across the line, everyone else is great. Maybe, Pierre was a tackle, but we don't really have a tackle opening right now. Banson, maybe keep an eye on him. But even Banson probably, he even has better lead blocks, so maybe you move those two around or something like that. But Woody has a chance to maybe start. I'm just going to be honest with you. And, yeah, I didn't know it was going to be that bad, but with those sacks allowed, it doesn't actually surprise me. I'm not saying you really need to lead block and pass game, but, So sadly, Red moving to left end actually loses Speedster, but hopefully getting to 80 Speed Rusher, pretty solid upgrade actually, reopens some sort of thing here. Spinner maybe. Buy one, get one free. I'm just going to give him buy one, get one for free for now. I don't really feel like pulling up the wheel and doing all that right now. So another situation of not really paying attention to our own players. Ben Morgan sitting here absolutely gutted by the decision to not start him, I imagine, because, wow, we really dropped the ball there. And honestly, I think, unfortunately, if I'm not mistaken, Jacob Rollins actually failed his physical. It's really unfortunate because I don't know if we actually have a backup plan at kicker. Oh, yeah, Ben Morgan. Wow, that is really convenient. All right, so our preseason schedule. The Texans, the Ravens, and the Patriots. Obviously, we are the team with by far the best roster of this first team, at least. And even the depth may be better than most of their starters, so it very well could be a blowout. You obviously know in our preseason games, we get a good look at a lot of players. Don't play it fully. We do a little bit of simming, but overall, we'll get a good look at some of the positions that we do want to see potential competition at. Right guard, definitely one of those positions. Wide receiver, even. As much as I like Patterson, as much as I like Moore, we'll say Moore's job is probably a little bit more safe. Benedict, very interesting. As of right now, Benedict number 5, but it's preseason. You will get a look. As far as running backs go, Thurman, I think, is just automatically thrust in the 3 spot. Ahmed was just never really given a chance here, and I think Thurman is already going to just pass him up there. Chambers, I think, is locked in at number 2, but for safety, interesting situation there is Marshall's a very good corner look, and of course, Porter didn't really get a whole lot of burn last year. We drafted him to potentially be the guy that Marshall is right now, but as you can see here, a bit more raw, and overall, hoping he can fill that Marshall role from last season. If not, could be Wayne in that spot. It's tough because I like the fact that Wayne is kind of, a Diggs look-alike, if you will, but that injury and toughness, I can't imagine he lasts long. He may be just a special teamer all time, which it's unfortunate. There's nothing that really gives you an opportunity to look at their injury history to even have an idea that they're going to be injured like that, unless there was a news article, but I think that would be very unlikely. But yeah, you know the drill. If you've been around here, no positions, no players' number or name is locked in. It's kind of the unrealistic thing we do, which it's kind of like, unless I script every draft pick, I kind of have to change the names and numbers after the fact. So we'll obviously do that. But let me know if you guys think any of the names are perfect as is, or if you have a name suggestion yourself. I kind of like some of the names, but nothing set in stone, and I do like putting our own kind of twist on it. So let me know those things, and maybe we'll have your, name suggestion in the series. Obviously, as far as how the offseason went, I think we, drafted some really talented players, but, losing a guy like Davenport, who is good when he's healthy, but just never healthy, and obviously Sidney Jones specifically, is going to be hard to replace. And, we got better long-term, but how long is that long-term? Like, how long are we going to have to wait, of course? We'll find out. Obviously, the preseason will be next, and hopefully you guys come back for that. I'm not sure. I'd say the next upload will probably be on a Friday, maybe a rebuild of some sort. Obviously, the playoffs are on the weekend, so I might not upload either day. We'll see. But, yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys come back for next video and are excited for next video and this upcoming season. But until next video, see ya!